What's up? I'm Troubleshoot. In this quick video, I'll be unboxing you and showing you something really cool that Elgato sent to me, the XLR Dock and the USB Hub dock that I'm currently using, add-on for your Stream Deck. Let's start with the unboxing. Elgato were kind enough to reach out and send me the USB Hub and the XLR Dock add-on for my Stream Deck Plus. Starting with the Stream Deck USB Hub, opening it up, it comes with a simple little manual, which we'll ignore for now, foreshadowing, and of course the actual USB Hub itself. This simply just plugs into the back of your Stream Deck. By adding this, you expand your one USB-C input to a USB Hub that sports two USB 3s, as well as two USB-Cs, an uplink to take data back to your PC, and a power delivery port to give power to the rest of the plugs here. And if you're using a laptop, you can put some power into this brick to send 65 watts back to your laptop, charging it as you're using it. On the side, you've also got a full-size and a micro SD card slot for quickly transferring data from cameras and things like that. In the box, you'll also find a, like it was 1 meter cable, that's a USB 3.2 10 gigabit per second USB-C. You'll need this if you're going to transfer files at super high speed to and from your devices in this USB hub. Then looking at the XLR dock, this one comes in a much bigger box, as it's a bigger device with a bigger manual, and of course, the actual device itself hiding over here. Inside of the box, you won't find anything else, not even a cable. The actual XLR dock itself comes wrapped in fish and chip paper, but don't take a bite of it. Having a look at the actual thing itself, it replaces the entire back part of your Stream Deck, so it doesn't just slot into the existing space. You'll find a full-size XLR jack, a normal aux cord plug for your headphones, and of course the USB-C input. The one is much bigger than the other as it's not supposed to slot in. It replaces the entire back piece with two screw slots. Having a look at how we actually put this thing together, taking my Stream Deck Plus, we'll need to undo these two screws at the very bottom and pop off the entire back piece. You'll need to do this for both the XLR dock and the USB hub, but for now we'll start with the XLR dock. Gently plug them together, making sure you don't put too much stress on it. Take out the two screws and screw them back in, securing the entire dock to your Stream Deck. And with that, you've got a complete upgraded device. You can now plug it into your system as you would usually. You'll have your usual Stream Deck and of course an XLR input as well as a brand new headphone out. But for now, we'll stick it back together and we'll try out the smaller device. And of course, if you bothered to read the manual, you'll see that this actually needs to be put in with the back piece not attached. So instead, taking off the bottom piece again, putting it in, you'll find that there's this little piece of protective plastic on the back that's covering, instead of a non-slip mat like the one that comes with the Stream Deck itself or the XLR dock, this is a sticky pad that'll adhere this USB hub to the actual bottom piece if you wish to permanently stick them together. This will result in a much more stable connection that shouldn't slip at all. But for now, let's actually look at how these things work. So, in the manuals, it says that these things aren't supposed to be used separately, but if I were to plug this one in, even though I'm not currently using it, it'll work just fine. I can use the XLR input and the headphone output, and they work great. And of course, I've got the USB hub plugged into my Stream Deck here, as that's what I'm mainly using it for. It makes life a lot easier, not having to reach down to my PC. As for how these things work, well, if I pop up a file explorer here, you'll see that I now have two permanent empty drives over here. One of these is the SD card, and the other one's the micro SD. It'd be nice if these would vanish from Windows, but that's probably a Windows thing. Regardless, if I had an SD card to put in here, such as this one, this tiny micro SD, I'll stick it in the side, which is the left side when it's facing you, with the contacts facing up. It should soon appear on Windows, just like that. Now we've got a full SD card reader built into the side of this thing, which is super useful. Of course, the speeds to this are great, so copying massive video files to and from this thing goes really quickly. Obviously here, though, I'm throttled by the actual SD card itself more than the Elgato USB Hub. That's great and all, and of course, the USBs are an added extra. I've got a YubiKey as well as some extra storage that I use back there, and it's just so handy to have it on my desk, not having to worry about a USB hub that's taking up extra space. This is all nice and hidden away. Then having a look at this XLR dock that I've shown you a few times, while you're supposed to only really use these things plugged into a Stream Deck, if I just take a USB-C cable and plug it in, well, you'll see that things just work. So new device detected. If I pull up my sound settings, you'll see that we now have, there we go, Elgato XLR Dock headphones as a playback, and on the recording tab, we've also got the Elgato XLR Dock device here. If we check out the properties of this, you'll see that we can push it up to 96 kilohertz, one channel, which is great. The headphone output, we can do similar options with 2-channel 24-bit 96 kHz. That's great. There's some good quality that comes out of this thing, and it's great to have it in such a tiny form factor instead of having a massive separate audio dock if you don't already have one. The quality that I've got from this thing is actually perfectly fine. It's very comparable to my current setup, which is a relatively high-end audio interface from Addons. The sound through this thing is great, both input and output, although it's just fallen to the side as, well, the USB dock's just that much more useful for me. As I've got a standing desk, I'm really limited to the amount of USBs that I can bring, as I can only really have one cable to my desktop, otherwise it'll get ripped out the top of my PC. So it's been pretty useful to say the least. Ultimately, would I recommend you get this kind of thing? Well, I'd probably say that the USB hub itself is super useful, and I'd probably recommend that way more than the XLR dock. If you're short for USBs or find yourself plugging things in and out really often, and you've run out of front panel I/O if you have more than one to begin with anyways. If you have a USB-C on the back of your PC, especially a really fast one, or you're using a laptop for power delivery, it's a really good option. As of course, this thing can charge a laptop with, 65 watts. You will of course need a separate USB-C power input in order to get the power to go out properly. So that's pretty cool. I work from a desktop PC more than a laptop, so that feature doesn't really apply to me, but of course that would be a huge added benefit of this thing. As for the XLR add-on, it's still a really good choice. I've obviously got some pretty good hardware already, but if I'm just starting out, this little add-on does add quite a bit to your Stream Deck, giving you some extra in and out, as well as phantom power, which is super good, and of course real-time monitoring, which you're not going to get if you use software loopback, as it's just going to be super distracting hearing yourself with the delay of it having to go through Windows first. Having something like this is fantastic, and if you're just recording straight to your laptop as is, and you've got an XLR microphone, this is a super worthwhile upgrade, especially if you already have a Stream Deck and you haven't got a high-end audio setup, for example. Of course, if you'd like, you can download the actual Elgaato audio software, which works great with this device. As you'd expect, Wavelink itself is a fantastic, powerful little tool. If you haven't already seen how to use it, you'll find a link down below. Wavelink is a fantastic little tool for managing multiple audio inputs and outputs. And of course, as this is an Elgaato device, it's going to work fantastic with this anyways. As for the USB hub itself, well, besides having a ton of extra I/O on the back, and of course, the card reader built into the side, it is a super tidy choice. At this point, I could probably get rid of half the clutter on my desk, as well as all condensed into one tiny little thing now, right in the center of it, the Elgaato Stream Deck. If you'd like to see me unboxing and reviewing the actual Stream Deck itself, well, you'll find a link down below, especially if you're considering getting a Stream Deck Plus with all the fancy audio knobs and stuff like that. These are super useful add-ons, and of course, if you're interested in getting these for your Elgaato Stream Deck Plus, well, you'll find a link to the official Elgaato page down below, as well as Amazon if you want to check it out, and the same for the XLR dock, as well as an Amazon page for that. The only downside of these is that they are only compatible with the Stream Deck Plus. I haven't used any of the other Stream Decks, but I assume they have solid backs that you can't just attach as easily as this. It makes sense for something like the XLR one, as you can mix your audio, change volumes and stuff like that from the actual dock itself, but for the USB hub, it's just a little bit sad that you can't use it on other Stream Decks. But anyways, that's really it for this quick video. Again, a huge thank you to Elgato for reaching out and sending me these bits of hardware to play around with and of course use, and I've been using them a ton, and of course a special thank you to you for watching this video through to the end. My name's been Troubleshoot, and I'll see you all next time. Ciao.